It's a scary time right now for students in Ontario. The province's university funding cuts have caught the attention of the rest of the country. Retired professor at the University of Saskatchewan, Len Findley, says there is fear that the Ford government's hostile attitude towards university funding and student protesting will spread across Canada.
All of Canada is watching Ontario at the moment. There is enormous concern about the implications for our other jurisdictions. What happens here will it be coming our way soon?
The Progressive Conservative government cut post-secondary tuition fees in Ontario by 10% in January. This has forced universities to slash their budgets for the upcoming academic year. Findley was a featured speaker at an event held in the FCAD Catalyst on Tuesday. He says Premier Doug Ford is acting like a bully.
The abusive use of the provincial spending power is the tactic of the bully. It is indefensible in all occasions. It is particularly inappropriate in dealing with students in university situations.
Director of the Centre for Free Expression, Jim Turk, agrees that Canadians fear that what is being done in Ontario will happen in other provinces.
What's happening here is something that some other conservative governments would like to do, and so if Ford can get away with it here without paying a political price, we're likely to see similar things happening in Nova Scotia, in Saskatchewan.
Turk and Findley say that student groups and campus media have been targeted by Ford's funding cuts. The Ontario government announced that they will be making ancillary fees optional, which will cause student groups and campus services to lose some of their funding.
The real objective here, I think, is for the Ford government to silence student voices. Students have been willing to speak out on issues that they feel strongly about, and student media have been a persistent critic of governments. It's not just the Ford government, but other governments. And so if they can silence that voice, they will. And by making fees for student media and student services optional, that's guaranteed to cut dramatically the ability of student organizations to have a voice, to serve students, to meet student needs.
Hermes Azam, who is part of Socialist Fightback at Ryerson, says that it's important for students to use their voices. He says students in Quebec sparked change by protesting against their provincial government's tuition hikes in 2012.
There's a long, deep-rooted tradition in Quebec to go out on the streets when the government comes after your livelihood. That's precisely what the students did. They moved in their masses. You had upwards of 400,000 students on the streets. That not only stopped the tuition hikes, but actually brought down the whole government, and the premier was forced to resign by the action of the united action of both the students and the workers. And that's something we can bring to Ontario. The demonstrations we've seen in Toronto have been incredible. We can't just stop with a show of force. We really got to show the government that we're not just willing to back down.
Universities across Canada could see similar funding cuts in the near future. But if students continue to push back, the government might just have to listen. Nicole DiDonato, RyersonianTV.